Hi there, this is Datila, and welcome back to the TNAIW Power Rankings show. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Burt Maclin, no relation to Steve Maclin.
How's it going?
It's going good, but it's just not me and Burt today. Please help us welcome our newest co-host. He's the godfather of the Power Rankings. He's the one and only Lucha. So nice to have you, Lucha.
Hello, everybody. I totally did not just drop what I had in my hand, and we almost had a fire. But hi, everybody. How are we today?
You guys, it's been a while since we've done one of these. We're 16 days into the new year, and I cannot wait to do this episode with you guys tonight.
Fresh off of a on fire, hard to kill like that show. This is what better way to kick off the new season than off the heels of that wonderful pay-per-view.
Exactly. But before we get into tonight's power rankings, because we do have a lot to talk about, Burt, how do you join the power rankings committee?
It's pretty simple. Just get at me on Twitter, Burt Maclin 11, DM or just quick message. And if you watch Impact and you watch on the regular, you can get out a top 10. It's that simple. And you want to join the power rankings, that's all we're looking for. So Burt Maclin 11 on Twitter.
Are Melvins allowed in the power rankings?
We can make an exception if they're cool.
I'm the godfather, so of course, there's one Melvin. It's not really rock with Matt Taven too tough.
Okay. Well, with that being said, let's play these power rankings.
Number 10, Moose. Number 9, number 1 contender, Masha Slamovich. Number 8, the Juggernaut, Jordan Grace. Number 7, Eddie Edwards. Number 6, Digital Media Champion, Joe Hendry. Number 5, X Division Champion, Trey Miguel. Number 4, Tag Team Champions, the Motor City Machine Guns. Number 3, Steve Maclin. Number 2, World Champion, Josh Alexander. Number 1, World Champion, Mickie James.
Wow, so much to talk about. So many people changed spots in this week's power rankings. But let's start with the most obvious one. And Lucha, I know Burt and I, if you watch the show on a regular basis, Burt and I have talked about this. Why are the Death Dolls, who are the Knockouts champions, not on this week's power rankings? Is it because they didn't wrestle on the show?
That may be it. They, at least on my personal top 10, I actually had them at number 10. I guess just because part of it might have been because I saw them wrestle on Friday when, nobody else did. It's probably going to be a digital exclusive that'll drop either tomorrow or Tuesday. So I guess that probably that change there had to affect their place on the standings because people were wanting to put them on, but we just didn't see them, so they were kind of like out of sight, out of mind, maybe. But at least on my personal top 10, I had them at number 10. I didn't even have Moose on mine, which is crazy to see that he's there.
No, definitely. It is crazy because Moose, I know technically he won, but when the match got restarted, he lost. So it's interesting that he is at number 10. Burt, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, quickly on the Death Dolls, I just think that, again, it goes back to just them not being seen enough to warrant them being on the rankings. And then as far as Moose, I was surprised going into that match. I didn't think I was going to hate it, but I thought that was a very strong match with him and Joe Hendry. They went 10-plus minutes. I also didn't realize Joe Hendry's pretty much the same size, and he might even be taller than Moose, so you could have thought it would have been a clash of styles, but that match was awesome. The point of the match where Joe Hendry basically carried him, halfway around the ring. I think that'll be a nomination for a spot of the year, at least in Impact's concerned. But no, yeah, and I think Impact does a great job at keeping Moose's booking strong. It's one of the top stars in the company. So I'm fine with him being number 10.
Lucha, you got anything to add or say about Moose?
No, I mean, between what I said first and then what Burt said, we pretty much wrapped it all up really on the whole number 10 situation.
Okay, so next we have to talk about number 9 and number 1 because Burt called this. He called this. He has been preaching about this since it was going to be Mickie James versus Jordynne Grace. Burt, I had to give it up to you. You deserve a round of applause. You called it.
Thank you.
You called it. If I had a hat, I'd tip it to you.
Well,
if I had the gold Mike Awesome card that Jeff gave me, I would give it to you as well.
Thank you. Well, I talk to Scott regularly. We have a standing tea time. So, but thank you.
So, for those of you who haven't been watching or who haven't been paying attention, Burt has said from the get-go that Mickie James would beat Jordynne Grace so she could get one last run and she would go out by putting somebody over. And he said that person would be Masha Slamovich, who made number 9 on this week's Power Rankings because she is now the new number 1 contender for the Knockouts title. And at number 1 in the Power Rankings, Mickie James, because she is now the new Knockouts champion. Burt, since you called this, you have the floor.
Well, first, I don't think that, and congratulations to Mickie James. That was one hell of a match, and I don't think Mickie James will ever get the credit that she deserves for how great she's been, for how long she has been. But with that being said, I just think, and I don't think that, I do think she will lose to Masha, but I don't think it's going to happen right away. I think obviously Jordan will get her a rematch, and then I could see Masha maybe holding off to it, whether she says something about it or then just creative booking. But again, I do think Masha will be the one to take it off her. But yeah, congratulations to Mickie James.
Lucha, you have anything to add or say?
Well, as far as Masha being 9 is crazy. It's like perfect. There's a lot of these. It's almost as if this is my power rankings personally, because I had Masha at 9. How she was able to bounce back from taking that loss to Taylor a few weeks back and still come through and get this number 1 contender spot. She might be down, but she ain't out. Like Masha's one of those that I feel like she's gonna keep coming and coming and coming. So I kind of predict that throughout the next few weeks, she might rise through the power rankings, and then eventually get knocked back a couple. She's gonna have that kind of trajectory within the power rankings within the coming months or within the year. Who knows? She has the potential to hit number 1, but it's all about if she can get there or not.
Definitely, I do agree with you, Lucha. I definitely do agree with you. So number 8, Jordynne Grace. I feel like she should have been a little lower, but it makes sense that she said number 8 as she is no longer Knockouts champion. However, when you look at her overall run, I feel like that constitutes Jordynne being down a few numbers. Lucha?
Well, you talk about her being a little lower, but like if you look at who she's ahead of, she's kind of look at who she's sandwiched between. Really, she's sandwiched between people who won. So I mean, she even said it herself on Twitter. Even when she loses, she wins. So her still being number 8 on the rank, it feels kind of perfect given the momentum that she had built for the last 8-9 months. And then for her to only just take this one loss, 8 feels honestly a little low for me personally. Let me see. I actually had her at 5 on mine. So this is a little crazy.
Okay. Burt, do you have anything to add or say about Jordynne Grace?
I completely agree with Lucha. I think 8's kind of disrespectful. Like she just loses the world title, and it wasn't like she got squashed or anything. You know what I mean? It was probably one of the best matches on the card, I could argue. And yeah, I think that she's one of the biggest stars on the show. You know what I mean? So I think 8 is way too low. So and again, I agree with Lucha. I think 5 is where she should be at, around there.
I do agree. I think that she should have been at number 5. I don't know why she was at number 8. I guess because since she lost the title, people voted her at that spot.
It could be. They could have went a little like really harsh on her taking this loss. I mean, if you also look at it just in the whole sense, there's only two people who really took a loss that's in this power rankings this week, and that's her and Moose. And those are two people who, taking a loss doesn't really necessarily hurt them too much, depending on who it is, who it's against. Jordan losing is like the equivalent of number 1 Alabama losing to like number 3 LSU and dropping. They realistically, after losing to Bama, after Bama lost, they should really drop down to like I said, the 5, 6, maybe 4 area. But for her to slide all the way down to 8, I mean, I don't know if that's a slight on her part or if that's just a testament on how hot everybody else is coming after Hard to Kill.
I'm not understanding or following your college football references here.
Well, basically, it's number 1 versus number 3, and number 3 beats number 1. So you would think, of course, number 3 then becomes number 1, and number 1 should slide down a little bit because, yeah, they lost, but they lost to a high rank. So that shouldn't really dip them as much.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 7, Eddie Edwards defeating Jonathan Gresham. And I have to say, this is a match that was months in the making. This was actually supposed to happen last year. But as we all know, that match unfortunately did not happen. So Eddie Edwards getting the big win over Jonathan Gresham, which I feel makes sense because Eddie Edwards wants to put the past behind him. However, as we know, the past comes back to haunt, and PCO made his grand return. And I honestly feel like Eddie Edwards winning this match helped to move forward that storyline with him and PCO. So what are your thoughts on Eddie Edwards being number 7? And is that a good spot for him? Should he have been higher or lower? And do you think Eddie Edwards winning was always a plan, or should have Jonathan Gresham won this?
I would have actually kind of wouldn't mind him being a little lower because it wasn't like I didn't care for the match, but I'm more excited for where it's heading after with Eddie and PCO, just because I like where, the way that ended before with PCO being buried, that wasn't going to be the last time we were going to see PCO. So I think this was more about, for me, just to set up that storyline. So him being at 7, while I wouldn't mind him being a little lower, I'm fine with him being at 7. I think he earned that spot, definitely. And I will say on PCO, I wish they would have shown a graphic with him, his hand coming out of the ground, similar to the way that Shredder's hand comes out of the ground. I think it's like Ninja Turtles 2 at the beginning, because I think they bury him in trash in the first one. And, you see his hand come out, just a little. If you've seen Secret of the Ooze, I don't,
Yes, I have. Okay.
I'm dating myself with this reference, but.
No,
yeah, you're dating yourself.
You're not alone in this trio, sir. We're all with you.
What about you, Lucha? Any last comments on Eddie Edwards?
I mean, I feel like this is kind of a perfect spot for Eddie. As a fan of his myself, I feel like there's been a lot of disrespect, even on my end, as far as Eddie's position in the power rankings, whether he's there or not, because it just kind of feels like he's rarely on the top end of the power ranks, at least these last couple months. So to see him get a win at Hard to Kill, which was an upset in a lot of people's eyes, including mine, I was kind of surprised. Eddie got the pin over John in John's home. And for another sports reference that I don't know if you'll catch this one or not, but if you really look at it, John Gresham, just like the Atlanta Falcons, blew a 28 to 3-point lead versus Boston and Eddie Edwards. So Burt gets it.
I'm not following.
It's all good. The people know what I mean when I say it, and if you look at the facts, ladies and gentlemen, because John Gresham, there was a point in time where John Gresham was just tying Eddie up like Christmas presents, and for Eddie to still get the dub rather clean, might I add, that I can remember. I don't remember too much shenanigans, but this is kind of perfect for Eddie for me. This is where I put him.
And I have to agree with you. I was rather surprised that this match had a clean finish. I thought it was going to have a screwy finish.
I don't know. It's Eddie. Eddie's in a tough spot where it's like he's hated because he's kind of going a little too far with a lot of his things, but he's still one of the best wrestlers in the ring at the end of the day. So you still got to remember what he's capable of.
That is true.
And his theme song is dope. So,
oh, I love that they gave him the Honor No More theme song. Like it hits 10 times harder now.
It's like 2000s new rock almost. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally fine. Eddie's been rejuvenated to me, so I'm fine with it.
I love it. Hurts me to boo him. Like it hurt me to boo him this weekend, but I had to because that he turned on me. I didn't turn on him.
That's true. So exactly.
Guys, in case you forgot here, Impact turned on Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards didn't turn on Impact.
That's also true. So he is kind of justified in his thinking.
True.
So don't make me forgive him. I'm not ready to forgive him just yet. Okay.
Forgive and forget.
I still have to hurt a little more.
All right. Number 6, my personal favorite. I believe in Joe Hendry. Come on, you guys don't believe?
I do.
Try that again.
I do.
Try that again. Okay. Again from the top.
I believe in him.
Number 6, I believe in Joe Hendry.
I clap.
Bert. We're gonna do this again.
What do you Kurt Angle when he refused to come out because the fans kept booing him?
Yes.
If you
we need to see your hand clap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Number 6, I believe in Joe Hendry.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm really happy to see Joe Hendry at number 6.
There you go.
Yes, thank you, Bert. I think he had an incredible match with Moose, and yes, he lost the first time around, but thanks to the new DOA, Director of Authority, Santino Marella, who I'm surprised wasn't on this week's Power Rankings. Joe Hendry is once again champion. Thoughts on Joe Hendry being number 6, Lucha?
Okay, now this is where it's a little funky for me because Joe Hendry beat Moose. Like that's all fine and dandy, woo, yeah. But the match had to get restarted for him to win. Like there's been countless situations where people have been screwed for the match and the decision just stands. Like no one's like, you know what? No. So like if it wasn't for Santino, Joe Hendry probably wouldn't still be the DMC. So the fact that he's even lucky enough to still be the champ and for him to be at 6 is a little too high for my taste. I actually had him where Jordan was at number 8.
That makes sense. That does make a lot of sense because the only reason Joe Hendry is Digital Media Champion is because Santino Marella restarted that match. Had that not been the case, Moose would be Digital Media Champion right now.
And we will be believing in Dancing Moose.
Which I'm fine with. I honestly, I think that the restarting of the match, because like I said before, I really enjoyed that match. I think the restarting of it kind of took a little bit away from it. I picked Joe Hendry to win the match, but when Moose got the win, I was totally fine with the idea of him being Digital Media Champion. So I think them kind of like having to restart it just kind of threw things off for me at that point. It was pretty predictable that Joe Hendry was going to win. So
it would have been crazy if he went through all that to restart the match and Moose ends up winning anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely do agree, guys. I definitely do agree. That restarting the match did make it predictable, but like Lucha said, it would have been crazy if Joe Hendry still lost. Number 5, Trey Miguel. I have to say, incredible match against Black Taurus. I was not expecting Black Taurus to win, even though I wanted him to. But no surprise here, Trey Miguel's retained. But of course, he has to cheat to be Black Taurus. Lucha, you go first. What are your thoughts on this, on Trey Miguel being number 5? Is it well-deserved? Should he have been higher or lower?
I mean, Look, okay, just like I just said, Joe Hendry had to have his match restarted to win because he got screwed. Trey Miguel screwed Torus and still got to walk away with his belt. So he got to walk away. So with him, a win is a win is a win. It didn't take a match reversal for it to happen. So it's pretty, at this point, at least, versus my power rankings, this is where everything is pretty much on point. If not, maybe by 1 or 2 spots, because I had Trey at number 4. Because again, I had Jordan Grace at 5.
What about your thoughts, Bert?
Well, first of all, I don't ever fault anybody for working smarter, not harder out there. And Trey Miguel cheating to win, you know what I mean? You gotta do what you gotta do.
The same thing and got penalized.
And Trey Miguel being champion means he's hopefully will continue his Trey Miguel pro skater gimmick of tagging every wrestler in the back. So, I love it. A Trey Miguel heel, I'm fine with it. And him where he is at, I think is perfect because I think the people ahead of him deserve to be ahead of him. And I think the people behind him, I think he deserves to be ahead of them. So I'm perfect with where he's at.
And speaking, before we move on, I just have to say, going back to your comment, cheat to win, there's another person that we all know that would always cheat to win, who is still loved and missed very dearly by the entire wrestling community. I think we all know who we're talking about.
Exactly.
Latino hate.
It was in the song.
Exactly. So, R.I.P. Eddie.
I love you, Eddie.
All right, number 4. Motor City. Number 4, the Motor City Machine Guns successfully retaining their tag team titles in a 4-way elimination match. Now, I think the number 4 spot is well deserved. So, Motor City Machine Guns being at number 4, I think that's well deserved. They had an incredible match, a 4-way elimination match, and they successfully retained their titles. So I'm personally okay with them being at number 4. Lucha, what are your thoughts?
I'm fine with them being at number 4. For them to have picked up a win, but a win against basically 3 teams. I'm pretty sure they weren't involved with the elimination of all 3 teams, but they were the last of 3 standing. So that's good enough to call that a very strong victory, and them being at 4.
I have a feeling though that because they came down to them and Bullet Club, that their feud with Bullet Club is going to continue.
For sure. How that match ended. We're gonna get some more Bullet Club, Motor City business, and even if Bullet Club would have won, they could have easily put them at number 4, and it would have been just as accepting of the position because of the competition they went through.
Definitely, I do agree. Bert, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you guys have said. Them at number 4, they have absolutely earned it. And then just on the Bullet Club, Ace and Bay look so strong, and eventually, hopefully we get an ABC. It's easy as ABC and a 1-2 sweep and a Bullet Club as champions, because I think that that finisher they do, their combination finish, and I forget the puns Matt Rayroll was dropping during the match, but I was laughing very hard during it. It was very funny.
It was. Matt Rayroll was really good on commentary. I don't think he gets a credit that
I don't think him and Tom I hope Impact locks them down for the near future because they're very, very good together on TV. Hannafin just sounds so happy to be there. Like the way he popped for Santino. Like you know what I mean? He just, the way he popped for when, every like dastardly thing Bully Ray did, it just very good.
I definitely do agree with you. I think that he's been a great addition to the broadcast team.
Most definitely.
All right, number 3, Burt Maclin's No, he's not a relative of Burt Maclin, but I do think he does bear a resemblance to Burt Maclin, and you can see it a little bit. Can you, Lucha?
No,
You
I don't
can.
think so.
I can.
not at all.
I don't think so.
All right, we'll let the people in the chat decide. Does Burt Maclin bear some resemblance to Steve Maclin?
I wish I could.
Agree on this week's power rankings.
Get yourself over, kid.
Burt, you want to go first?
Yeah, start the clock right now because I think that I'm not saying I'm upset. I'm like mad that Josh Alexander's been champion this long, but let's get going right now. Let's put the belt on Steve Maclin. It's his time. He should be the next world champion. I think that he's been like way over for a while now, and I think he's like, I forget the promo he cut a while back where he's pretty much beat like every former champion. So let's put the belt on Steve Maclin, please. On Steve Maclin, please. It's about time.
He's only saying that so then he can hit up Steve Maclin and be like, "Hey, it's your long lost cousin Burt."
That'd be good. A good storyline.
You know what he tried to do for the wedding? He claims that his invitation got lost in the mail, so
That's a good storyline.
Into the wedding.
See, Burt's trying to get in the game, in the family business. But see, now on one end, Steve Maclin being at 3 is completely is a perfect spot to be because like y'all said, that's another world champion that he's beat. I'm a little upset at myself for the disrespect that I gave him because I put him at the 6th spot. He got a win versus Rich, but I guess I valued the wins of the people ahead of them more so than the momentum that Steve was on, which carries a part of the weight on, how people vote and how people are where. It's a part, if they win or lose versus the momentum they're on. And with Steve Maclin's momentum, I honestly should have put him higher myself. So it's so good to the point. It's so perfect of a spot to the point where it made me mad that I didn't put him there myself.
First off, I want to say I've been a fan of Steve Maclin since he came to Impact Wrestling. Right from the get-go, I was a fan. I think that Impact did a really good job at building him. His rivalry with Trey Miguel was incredible. Steve Maclin deserves to be champion. I think he's going to take the title off Josh Alexander. The question is when. It's not a matter of if, but when, I think. At least I think that.
For sure.
And you want to give Steve Maclin a big moment. You don't just want to have Steve Maclin beat Josh at some pay-per-view. I feel like if Steve Maclin is the one to take it from Josh, it has to be our Rebellion.
Have Josh lose in Canada?
Well, I think
have the ring riddled with trash. Is that what you're saying? I
think a good riot, okay? And anywho, Steve Maclin beating Josh in his hometown will make him an even bigger heel. I mean, look what Moose beating Josh in front of his family did. It turned him into a monster heel. You want to turn Steve Maclin into a monster heel? How do you do that? You have Steve Maclin beat Josh in his home country of Canada.
That's fair.
Thank you, Lucha.
I could see maybe them doing it at the Vegas show, but yeah, the Rebellion would be the bigger moment.
Definitely. All right. Speaking of Josh Alexander, number 2, Josh Alexander. I feel like he's well deserved to be at number 2. His match opened the show, and I feel like it was a good match. I think some people were split on this match because I feel like some people thought Josh would win, some people thought Bully Ray would win. Personally, I'm happy Josh Alexander won, and I have no problem with him being number 2. Lucha, what are your thoughts?
No problems on my end. Hard fought victory. Bully for sure gave him a run for his money. I love that he's where he should be. This is a very appropriate rank for him. That's it.
Burt?
I completely agree, just because we'll get to who is ahead of him. But yeah, no, him being a number 2. Well, and I think Impact's placement of the match was very smart, just because obviously the women deserved the main event, but it made it so like you could focus on the main event, get that out of the way, so there would be nothing, no distractions. You know what I mean? The fans would be, I'm not tired, but they'd be excited for it still. So yeah, Josh being at number 2, I'm fine with.
And yeah, I mean, it was a good match. What more can we say? He certainly toppled one of his biggest opponents. So well deserved. Before we get to the number 1 answer, and do you have any honorable mentions?
Other than our Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, the Death Dolls, there's really no difference in the people's rankings versus my own. So the biggest snub, really, I would say, will be the Death Dolls.
That is, they weren't even on the show. And even Kushida, who won on the Countdown to Hard to Kill, I feel like
For sure.
I feel like there's a part of me that feels like he does deserve a spot on the rankings, but there's a part of me that feels like he doesn't, just because he went MIA and just magically popped out of nowhere and won this match.
Okay, I have a question for you two. Who of these two, who do you think would be more deserving to be on the power rankings? Kushida or Black Taurus? Black Taurus did lose, but he did get screwed. So who do you think, if you had one spot, who would you give it to? I personally would give it to Taurus because he's been on, like you were saying, the hotter.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. I have to give it to Black Taurus just because he was on a roll for the longest. He was totally undefeated and protected by Impact, and he's been getting screwed by Trey Miguel.
As for my honorable mentions, I would just go. They're not a group, but just a combination of Giselle Shaw, Jai Vidal, Savannah Evans, and Tasha Steelz. Tasha Steelz, first of all, Savannah Evans I'm becoming a really, really big fan of hers. I think she's really great. And like Lucha always says it, and like I can't unsee it, but it's Shawn Michaels and Diesel vibes. Like she's like the best heavy, but she's like also like better than that. Like Tasha just like charisma just jumps out of the screen, and Giselle, like that's just like another star Impact's created overnight. There's something about the image of like, oh, she was like beating up I forget who was like wearing an evening gown. I don't know, that was hilarious to me. So I would have put them maybe number 10. You know what I mean? I just think that they're all 4 of them are becoming very, very, like that's why I wouldn't put the Death Dolls on, because I think the 4 of them just jumped out of the screen more so than the Death Dolls did.
That's fair.
That is fair. All right, so number 1, Burt called this. He called this from the beginning. So again, round of applause to Burt. I tip it to him, to Burt, for calling this. But number 1, Mickie James. She beat Jordynne Grace and is probably going to have one last run. And as Burt, as you called it too, against Masha Slamovich, is going to be the one who's probably going to retire Mickie James.
We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Any guys' last comments or thoughts on Mickie James being number 1?
Well, she'll also be. I think she'll be in the Hall of Fame this year as well. Because I'm assuming she'll probably most likely lose the championship, and then I don't know when they do the Hall of Fame. But then, she's on her way to the Hall of Fame as well. But well-deserved to Mickie. Like I said, she does not get enough credit for, like, how great she's been. Like, constantly overlooked. But she's a 5-time champion, tying Madison Rayne and Tara. Like, that's very, like, high praise. Like, again, in both, and both of them should be in the Hall of Fame as well. So, and Impact, again, the main event, Impact is always, like, booked their knockouts on par with the men. So they're not 1 and 2. They're 1A and 1, not even B. They're both 1A. So congratulations to Mickie and Jordan. Again, it's one of those matches where you don't like, you get over in defeat. Jordan's still a star. So
did you just say Mickie James is a 5-time knockout champion?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Hardcore country.
Someone do a spinneroonie.
I wish I could do a spinneroonie.
Me too, I wish. Okay.
I got you.
Oh!
Okay.
What is it? Lucha, 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 lucha?
Did y'all see it?
No.
I did.
Nice.
All right. So I think we covered everything, top to bottom. Is there anything else you want to say before we get ready to sign off?
It's just going to be interesting to see how this 10 differs from next week.
Definitely, I do agree with you. I'm very curious to see what next week's power rankings look like, especially since this came off the heels of an incredible pay-per-view. And next week is just going to be the fallout from Hard to Kill.
Yeah, pay-per-views are always kind of like a reset. You kind of like pay-per-views kind of like a season finale, and the next one after it's like a season premiere. So the rankings always look those are the one time the rankings don't flip, but that's the time they vary the most.
All right. Well, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. It means so much that you guys continue to watch us. We apologize that we went MIA for a little bit, but the holidays and the new year.
We had to fine tune this well-oiled machine that we're about to lay on the road. We're putting this budget from Scott D'Amore to good use. This non-existent budget. So,
Great. But also, too, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you can get notified whenever this video drops or whenever TNAIW releases new content, such as Talkly Buddy Nonsense with our friends from across the pond, Craig and Peter Nexon. Of course, you can catch the main show live every Sunday at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. And then, of course, if you've missed that, get notified whenever it gets uploaded on YouTube. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.